What's up, Night Owl? Steely here, back with another video, and today we got something special. I had to sit down with NoFunAllowed, a fellow YouTuber who also does some D&D content and is branching out from things other than Rime of the Frostmaiden. So I reached out to him and asked if he wanted to do a collab video, and we had a bit of a discussion about Rime of the Frostmaiden. And I gotta say, he's a pretty cool dude. Make sure you go show him some love, give him a subscription, watch some of his videos. If you like my stuff, you're definitely gonna like his stuff. Let's get to the talk. No fun.
How's it going?
What's up, buddy?
I'm fan-friggin-tastic. How about yourself?
I'm all right. So, you do a lot of Rime of the Frostmaiden content on YouTube.
Oh, yes.
Let's start with what made you decide to make a YouTube channel? Let's softball it a little bit.
So, I decided to make a YouTube channel because a lot of my friends urged me to do it. And, I decided to say, hey, I might as well because I'm trying to aim my content toward new DMs. I'm trying to aim my content toward people that are picking up a module for the first time and saying, hey, how do I actually run this thing? And I figured, I'm going to make these super duper long, elaborate videos, and I know they're not going to be as popular as everyone else's, but I know that they're going to really help out a lot of people.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, and there's definitely not enough of Rime of the Frostmaiden on YouTube, at least from what I've noticed. So there's definitely an opening there. So next question, overall thoughts of Rime of the Frostmaiden. What do you think of it so far?
I think that Rime of the Frostmaiden is, a perfect example of old school D&D play. It starts us off in a huge sandbox where we get to go around the place and we get to explore around in a world which we don't normally get to explore in, because in 5th edition we've only touched upon the North for a little bit of time in Storm King's Thunder. And this module really fleshes out the area. It gives us awesome places to go to. And eventually, once you're tired of the sandbox, it puts you on a pretty awesome railroad. And that railroad has us going up against Duragar, dragons, and a Frostmaiden, oh my. And I think that the end content is excellent, but at the same time is going to require a lot of work for you to actually sit down and do.
Very true. Very true. So, how far is your group so far?
Well, I am proud to say that I'm probably world firsted this adventure.
Very nice.
My group played every single day or every other day at the latest, and we completed this module.
That's all. That's impressive. It's only been out a month, and you've already cleared it. That's great.
Yes.
Do you plan on running another one?
Trying to go for a world first, and I said, "Hey, you sit down and you don't get fed until we play," and we did it.
That's perfect. That's how it's done. Okay. Very nice. That's really impressive. Being that's only been out for a month, just knocked it out. So what route did they take? So you have a lot of options in Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, like what town you start in, which town quest. Because by the book they level up after about 5 quests. So which quest did your party do in Chapter 1, and then which quest did they do in Chapter 2?
Oh man, what did they do? They hopped around everywhere between. They went to every single town at some point, but they only did certain quests. So they did the lake monster first. They did foaming mugs. They did hold up. They did a little town hall caper, and they did mead must flow and a beautiful mine. So yeah, they did half of the content right there.
Okay. I just had an alert. What was your favorite chapter so far?
So of all the chapters, I think my favorite is the grand finale, the Doom of Ythrun. There is a lot of content there, and it's very akin to one of my most favorite modules, Tomb of Annihilation, in that you are brought to an area and it's totally foreign, totally unique, and even though the place looks dead, there is actually a lot of life to it, and there's a lot of things going on, and there's a lot of content for you to dive into.
I'm looking forward to it. I've only read the book a few times, cover to cover, but I haven't actually gotten to that point yet. So what I did, I had originally planned to have one group that I run every day to knock out the module like you did. But I had so many people that wanted to play. What I ended up doing is running 5 separate groups. And I had the plan was when the book comes out that I would prep for a session, and then each group would roughly go through, like, prep one dungeon, prep random encounters and the like. And then the first group would run through that particular thing that I set up, and then the next group would just do that, and I would only have to prep for one session for the week, and then I would just run 5 groups to the same session. Well, little did I know that Rime of the Frostmaiden has 12 different starting quests and then 12 more quests in Chapter 2. So what I ended up doing is every group did a different starting town, and every group did different Chapter 2, so I could kind of run them all, which was a ton of prep work. But
see, that's where you messed up. You thought your players were going to do something.
Oh, yeah.
that was the problem.
And that's another thing, man. Oh, I had a group, like I had set out a thing, and sometimes your party will just latch onto things and just chase it, and you're like over here, like, guys, there's so much stuff to be had over here. But my party, one of my parties was determined to take down the Targo speaker, was determined to take him down, and they ended up sacrificing him to the Frostmaiden.
Well, I mean, power to them, I guess, and power to her.
And a whole nother group, I ran Id Ascendant, and you know that egg at Karkalok?
Yes.
Karkalok? After my party did Id Ascendant, they were like, we know about this egg because they did Karkalok first. So they like just completely derailed the entire campaign and went to Karkalok to get the egg, and it became this big, like, trying to get this thing open, and like, you know, how you open the egg outside of a knock spell. So they just eventually, I got so, like, it was a good hour and a half into the session chasing this egg, and I finally just said, you know what, you guessed the combination correctly. The egg opens. Let's move on. Like, yeah, it took a lot, like, for me to not just get frustrated. Like, all right, you got the combo. It's open. Moving on. The Duergar are here.
Thankfully, one of my viewers did the math on that combination, and it's like 1 in millions chance of actually getting the combo right. It's like you're not gonna get it right.
It was an 8-digit combo, and I was like, "You got it, man. Just please move this campaign along." Favorite encounter so far.
Favorite encounter so far for me would definitely have to be... Oh, man, there's just so many. Definitely when my players went to the Lost Spire of Netheril, and they saw a guy, and they're like, wait a second. We just saw you burn to death like a week ago. That's weird.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
And yeah, definitely that interaction of seeing someone that they actually talk to for a bit and then eventually watch die and then see them again. Like, that's pretty unique. And especially because once they get to talking to the guy, he doesn't know that he died. So you're just talking to this guy, and it's just like, oh yeah, you're like kind of dead. And it's just like, oh wow. So that whole, it really sparked a conversation of like, what is sentience and what is the self, and do simulacrums have soul and all that.
Oh yeah,
it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, there's definitely an opportunity to explore more morality in that one for sure.
Absolutely.
I think my favorite encounter, I loved the transition to chapter 3. So when you're standing outside the fortress, the party is ready to take on this Duergar fortress. They're ready to go, and suddenly they hear this loud grinding noise, and a dragon flies out. And I changed the description a bit for my party because I got really into it. And I said that there's a wave of relief that washes over you as the dragon leaves, because you realize you're about to march into this tower and the dragon's not there. But that relief quickly turns to dread as you turn around and see that the dragon is flying towards 10 Towns. And then I would end I ended the session right there on that cliffhanger.
And then they're like, no, no, keep going.
So they spent the week trying to decide whether to chase down that dragon or go in there and deal with the Duergar. That was a really fun one.
And I like that morality of the choice of like, okay, there's obviously the threat and there's another threat but which one is more evil, and you gotta seriously consider all the ramifications of that.
Absolutely. One of my parties, this poor group, I haven't run this party yet, but one of them haven't run them through the Duergar fortress yet. but they saw the dragon and they were like, I bet you there's a way to stop the dragon inside of the tower. So they're going to go in there and try to find it. Oof. They're going to be brokenhearted.
They're going to be looking around. They're going to be like, ooh, is that the control panel? They just pull like some random lever. We don't know. Hopefully that did something.
Yep. All right, so hit me with your least favorite thing about Rime of the Frostmaiden.
Whew. So, unfortunately, this book has its highs, but it's got its lows. And one of the lows is the fact that repeated at the bare minimum 9 times, I've counted between all these quests, 9 separate times, there is the event where, as your players leave, so-and-so appears. That happens so frequently in chapters 1 and 2.
Let's see. And Valin. The Verbeeg in Goodmead.
Mm-hmm.
What's another one?
The Winter Wolves and Hold Up.
Winter Wolves.
The mountain climb, like they get ambushed by a Yeti from behind.
You're right.
The list goes on, and that motif of as your players leave, it just coincidentally happens that this appears. Like you could do that once or twice, but if you do it back to back to back in such a short amount of time, your players are probably going to get fed up with that.
They'll be terrified to leave anywhere. It's like, all right, this place is clear.
It turns out if we just stay in a place, we're safe, right?
Should we get a long rest before we leave the cave? Because something's going to pop up after we leave.
Exactly, right. Exactly. And my second most unfavorite thing about this module is that you hit the nail on the coffin there, Velen. So your players go throughout this entire campaign, and they go eventually to fight the Durgar, and then they run into this random woman that they've never interacted with, and then all of a sudden she says, hey, we got to go to this island in the middle of the, into the water. Let's go right now. And there is no build-up at all to going to O'Reilly's abode. There is no hint or anything of it. Velen just shows up. So you have to have a really, really good hook for your players to actually listen to Velen and actually go to O'Reilly's abode.
You know what? I agree with that. There's a lot of that. I don't like how chapter 1 and 2, it feels like there's just no tie-in to the over. Like there's a few quests that tie into the overall story, but like chapter 1 and 2, it's such a long, like depending on the DM and like how much time they spend in chapter 1 and 2, like suddenly there's Duergar, suddenly there's a dragon, and like we've just been doing these side quests up to this point, and now it's like this big threat pops up. And
in chapter 1, there's references to 2 Duergar, and then in chapter 2, there's references to 1 like active agent of O'Reilly. And the fact that chapters 1 and 2 are separated from 3, 4, 5, and 6 really show off how this campaign, or this book anyway, was written as part campaign setting and then part actual campaign. And I like how they're trying to do different approaches to books, but unfortunately with this book, there's this weird divide. Chapters 1 and 2, setting, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are actual campaign.
Yeah. Chapter 3 is in my opinion when that campaign actually starts. I get it. Chapter 1 and 2 kind of binds you to Icewind Dale and gets you familiar with the territory, I guess. But like you said, there's 2 quests in chapter 1 that even mentions Duergar, that even hints at the fact that Duergar exists. One of my parties that that didn't do either of those quests, suddenly there's Duergar, and there's like a fortress, and they're trying to gather this Chardalin, and some of my groups are like, what's Chardalin? And we're in chapter 2.
Exactly. Chardalin, it should be a huge part of this campaign because I love sowing madness into my campaigns, and I love foreshadowing the campaign. And you should foreshadow the fact that there's these people stealing all this Chardalin, but unless you happen to bumble into that quest, it's very likely your players just don't understand what's going on. And all of a sudden, they just see a dragon pop out of a fortress that they're being sent to, and there is that weird disconnect of like, what is it going on, and why is this happening?
Exactly, and like it adds so much to the dramatic element if they know what Chardalyn is and how and like everything about it when that dragon emerges. I made it a point when I mentioned in one of my videos. I made it a point that the party needs to know about these Duergar and they need to know about Chardalyn. And I'm going to be mentioning that in my Chapter 3 video, that when they approach that fortress, you'll lose so much if they don't know what Chardalyn is when that dragon pops out. They need to know what it is because it will create so much more drama.
Absolutely.
When that dragon comes out of the fortress.
Absolutely.
So my least favorite thing. My least favorite.
Oh, what's your least favorite thing?
Do what?
What's your least favorite thing?
I might get some flack for this. It Ascendant.
Ooh.
It Ascendant.
Oh, you're definitely gonna get flack for that.
It broke me on the inside when I first started. Let me explain myself. When I first started playing D&D, it was a group of friends and we all rotated out who would DM. One of my DMs loved silliness, like was a little over the top with it. And in one campaign, we ended up in space with space gnomes mining the moon, and it just kind of like really took you out of the. It was a really silly game, and it drove me nuts because like when I first started playing D&D, I was really into it, and I loved the immersion. And man, that broke me. And then I was reading through.
You don't want the sci-fi with the fantasy. You don't want the peanut butter and the chocolate,
right?
Yep.
I know I'm not the only one. I know I'm not.
No,
it's
you
not
definitely
that
are not.
I've played the Star Wars tabletop. I love it. I love like flying around in space and doing my sci-fi thing. I need them to be separated in D&D. And like,
absolutely,
there's a laser rifle. There's a spaceship. It got to me. It got like after reading the chapter and running it grew on me a bit. I came to appreciate it, but it's still. I'll never forget that initial shock when I read no mind flayers in a crashed spaceship. It's like,
and the fact that they got those 3 little creepy things that just walk around on their tentacles.
Exactly. That snatched me. When I first read that, if it wasn't for the fact that I'm making videos, I will run this one time and will probably never run it again. But yeah, that was definitely my least favorite.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're not alone. There's a lot of people that want fantasy and then they want sci-fi, but they don't want the things to clash, and perfectly understandable.
Yeah,
and plus, laser rifles are OP. Those things are so strong.
Like 3d6, I think. I can't remember.
3d6, 3d8 radiant damage. Like they do too much.
Bananas.
Too much. OP.
Like I gave one of my party members a little bit too much ammo. I'm gonna have to take some of that ammo away.
As you wake up, all of a sudden the battery's depleted.
There's a leak. There's a leak. All the I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, too much damage. Well, man, it was nice having you, man.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah. Those of you watching, make sure you subscribe to NoFunAllowed. Does very similar. He doesn't just do Rime of the Frostmaiden. Actually, you know what? You elevator pitch your YouTube for us.
So my YouTube, like I previously stated, it is more for newer DMs. It's definitely for a lot of people that like their hands held. But I'm not doing only Rime of the Frostmaiden. I will be going through every single module. My first module I did was Tomb of Annihilation. I'm doing Rime of the Frostmaiden, and now I'm doing Curse of Strahd. So I'm definitely going through every single module and holding your hand and guiding you along the way. And my God, is it a ton of work, but it's well worth it.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to a couple of those. Out of the Abyss, for sure. I will be
Out of
on
the
top
Abyss,
of
that's going to be a clown fiesta to make a video about. Mamma mia.
All right.
Oh, man.
Well, man, it was so nice having you. We should do this again.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, you know how YouTube works. Hit those buttons, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you want to see from me, from the channel. What changes do you have? Because I can't do Rime of the Frostmaiden forever. Eventually, the book's going to run out. So I want you to tell me what you want to see from this channel. You want to see more collabs? I will definitely be touching Tasha I'll definitely be reading Tasha and doing videos on Tasha's Cauldron when that comes out. So just let me know. Let me know. And if you want to be a part of this D&D community, make sure you join the Discord. Link in the description. Come by, ask questions. Let me know what you think. And as always, I'll see you at sundown.